Hello, I'm Jeremy Rivera, host of the Unscripted SEO podcast. I'm here with Keith Breseé, a good friend for a long time. Why don't you give yourself a nice introduction, Keith?
Hey, Jeremy. Super awesome being here. Yeah, so I've been doing SEO, what is this, 24, basically 25. I've been doing SEO for, it'll be 15 years this January, which is wild, January 11th.
Right.
And it's so weird. And in that time, yeah, I've worked with and scaled big brands like Manscaped, Dave Ramsey, Dr. Axe, where I think we initially met, Remax, and many, many other big brands.
And were you in-house or freelance at those positions? Like, how did you fall into those slots? Has it been freelance the whole time, or did you start on the agency side? I realize I've never, like, we've been friends most of this time. I never said, where did you come from? Where did you start?
Right? I have never been. Oh, yeah, you don't know my origin story, probably.
Origin story. Right? Are you Hulk? Were you bit by a radioactive SEO?
That's funny. I wonder what that would look like. Radioactive SEO. PBMs?
Yeah.
No. So I went to school for photography at Belmont, and I wanted to create a photography course for moms who buy digital cameras and don't know how to use them. And that problem still runs rampant. I remember it took me 6 months to build my first website, living at home with my parents, and I was just married or dating at the time. And I remember the day I launched it, the next day was like Christmas morning in July, literally in July. Go to the website, look at Google Analytics, and of course, crickets. And that was the intro to my, well, why isn't this working? And then, do you know who Brian Harris is? He's in Franklin, actually.
Yeah.
Growth Tools. It used to be Video Fruit a billion years ago. He hired me to help him ship eBay stuff. And a week into that, he asked me, hey, I have this friend, Brian Dean. He just put out this post called the skyscraper technique. You want to try it? And I'm like, yeah, sure. He's like, how much do you charge? I don't know. How does $75 sound? Sure. And literally we got like 60, almost 62, 63 backlinks in like less than a month. And within 4 months, his post was outranking HubSpot, Neil Patel's. It wasn't neilpatel.com. It was it Growth Sprout?
Yeah, the grocery before.
Something like that. And anyway, it worked really well. And then he referred me to Noah Kagan of AppSumo. And Noah later became my mentor, and he referred other clients, and and now you know the rest of the story.
The rest of the story?
Right.
Yeah, I knew what happened after that, but I don't think everybody listening to this podcast does know the rest of the story. So let's keep going. I mean, so you kind of started out with the skyscraper method, which is handy because my first website was actually a GeoCities site. My second website was a little bit later on and made in Dreamweaver. So I think things have come along a lot since the early days. And things are changing in SEO, as they always do. SEO is never dead. It's just mutating and Frankensteining along in a new fashion. So what have you been seeing has been successful in the last year or two?
So this is, I've been asked this question. You go to meetups, you go to networking events, other big shots. Yeah, I used to do SEO, and now I do ads. Does this thing still work? Sort of shenanigans. And while, let me see, while keyword stuffing or white text on a white background might not work anymore, unless you're with ChatGPT, which is a thing.
Oh no, white text on my background is back.
Dude, I know. Did you see that?
What is old shall be new.
Dude, like I saw that. I'm like, no way. It was just like, what?
Oh, that's hilarious.
I know.
I gotta look that up.
But so regardless if it was, 10 years ago or now, literally now, what so many people fail to see is what's behind the algorithm or on the other side of the algorithm. So for example, I have one client, because of the nature of their business, their traffic was like 7x the day of Christmas from in Search Console. And then I have another client, it was literally half. And that was the first one I looked at yesterday morning. And I was like, oh, shit. Oh, wait a second. It's Christmas, and then look at the rest of the days and it's just fine.
Right.
But the reason for that, and same with Facebook ads or any ad platform, is they're not numbers we're looking at. It's people on the other side. And so when you optimize for people and you understand their intent, like I have been can I cuss?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have, or say I have, my in-laws are pastors, so I have to, certain crowds
if you want to self-censor, that's fine. I mean, I don't have to currently mark it as explicit. So if you go on some tirade rant and just, use every vulgarity on the sun, I might have to change that. But for the moment, I'm assuming that people who are learning about SEO are of age or 18. Right. And if they aren't, then, hey, go get your parents' permission to listen to Keith say a couple of naughty words while he talks about SEO. But feel free to, if you optimize for an adult site, that's fine. Just,
Oh, right. Which I've never done. I've optimized casinos, but never an adult site.
I helped a male escort guy. Ross Jones gave me that lead. He didn't want it, so I helped him out a few times. But mostly showed him how to get his dancers to show up inappropriately.
Oh my God, that's funny. What's ironic now is I don't even remember. Oh, what I was going to say that prompted that question. Anyway, well, good to know for the rest of the conversation. But so optimizing for people, I've always been hardcore into intent. Because if I Google, I have a Rubik's Cube here on my desk, as I have probably since the entire time we've known each other.
Yes.
Right. I have a Rubik's Cube. If I just Google Rubik's Cube, am I wanting to buy it? Am I wanting to learn it? Am I wanting to what's the intent there? And for those sorts of keywords, or maybe, I don't know, gun case, that you would think that's more of a buyer oriented, or maybe best firewood or whatever.
Yeah.
They're all different. And there's obviously informational, transactional, all the different types of keywords or categories of keywords, but getting into that and figuring out what is driving that intent and then optimizing for the intent and not necessarily the keyword we've had a lot of success with. So
did you see Mark Williams Cook, the Google endpoint leak that he had dug into in the past month, and he did a presentation at a conference? I'm not sure which one, but he kind of showed that there were these intent buckets for keywords of Boolean, where it's yes or no, where the intent is information, is a tutorial. So there's 8 different buckets of intent that Google parses keywords into.
I didn't see that, but I believe that all fucking day long. Dude.
Yes. I'm going to try to get him on the podcast. I think he said yes, so hopefully I'll be able to dig into that.
That'll be good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, at least.
Right.
But I think that's right. I think that's right, especially, I was talking with Mike Buckby of Noatoa. He's making tools that can kind of show you how you rank in AI search or where your brand
cool.
shows up in AI searches. And we were talking about like the intent of people's questions, and that there's chunks of that search volume that is just going to get gobbled up by AI, but
Yeah.
that's not necessarily a bad thing, because like just because they consume that information, if you're one of the cited sources, then that's still valuable and you still show up. So it's not completely dead, but creating content that maps to that people first intent, that makes sense to me.
Yeah. Did you have a follow-up question? I can talk for
Yeah.
3 hours.
Yeah, no, I want you to. Well, you can't do 3 hours, but we can go a while. Yeah, let's keep digging.
So okay, so I think what will help a lot of people, it helps, when I get on prospecting calls or proposal type calls, is understanding how I came up with the people first framework, just for context. Because if you can understand, like, if I'm looking at a math algorithm or an algorithm to solve a Rubik's cube, seeing the annotations is one thing, but being able to visualize what that means and how it translates to the actual Rubik's cube is totally different, and a game changer in being able to actually apply it. So I was, funny enough, this is right before Dr. Axe, and Michael, our mutual friend, we were at Industrious, or I can't remember where. We were somewhere with a whiteboard downtown, maybe renting from a WeWork or something.
Yeah.
And he's trying to get backlinks to doors, commercial doors, right?
Right.
That's how many conversations have we had about bathroom doors or bathroom partitions and commercial doors?
So many conversations about
Right?
toilet partitions.
It's funny. And so we're scraping the bottom of the barrel because he's like, yeah, there's no one else I can do skyscraper to. And I took a class, a couple classes at Stanford way back. I was like 19, no idea how that happened. It was total luck because I'm not that smart. But Stanford is Stanford and MIT are my dream schools. And one of the things on there was working backward. I can't remember the name of the class, but what the lesson was about was trying to find product market fit. And which totally aligns with, that's kind of like what we do as SEOs, just with our whatever it is we're trying to rank sort of asset. And he mind mapped a bunch of problems and conversational pieces. And he was like, you can use all this data, you can use whatever, and this will always stick with me, like forever. Like, if the data you get is not your paying customers, it's an assumption.
Okay.
So by that standard, keyword research is an assumption. It's an assumption. And I will stand by that argument all day long. Because, I can look up, I want to rank for X, Y, and Z keywords. And, that data is backed by a whole lot. That keyword data is backed by a whole lot more keyword data. And don't get me wrong, I have 6 tabs open between Search Atlas and SEMrush right now. So, like, that keyword data is valuable. Don't get me wrong.
Right. But it's an assumption. It's not, and it's there's flaws in the methodology. There's limits on how much Google will actually give you through the API, and that it's secondly mapped out. And there's a black box effect too, because the search volume Google Ads gives through its API is not the same search volume that SEMrush displays necessarily, because they have their own proprietary spyware. I mean, their own proprietary data sources that they have. Whether it's creepy browser extensions that are recording people's search information and recording that anonymously.
Right.
aggregating and reselling that data. You know, but that's a black box, and there's assumptions that that's true, that's valid, or appropriately mixed. You know, any of the major search tools out there that aren't just giving you the Google Ads volume are introducing a secondary level of doubt as far as the validity of that sourcing, because it's not coming from Google anymore. But even if it is coming from Google, there's disambiguation. You can get the same search volume for 4 queries, and no, that's not how it works. It's just that when it serves up in that API, Google Ads treats those 6 keywords as the same for when they're serving ads. So are all 6 of those equal synonyms, or is one of them actually slightly higher or lower? So if your mouth isn't puckered from so much salt when you're using search volume data, then you're doing it wrong. If you're talking with absolute confidence when it comes to search volumes, then you're doing it wrong. It's an assumption.
Mm-hmm. And so,
a good one. Useful.
A great one.
It's like correlation. Like people say correlation isn't causation, but it implies a relationship. It's up to the experts to better understand what is the nature of that relationship and how strongly it should influence your decisions as an SEO, as a marketer.
Right. Totally. So at the end of the day, it's still an assumption. And as an SEO, as a marketer, because, we're going to use those keywords for more than just SEO and paid media sort of approach. Maybe where it's content there's only so many buckets you can use that data for. Anyway, you get the point.
Yep.
It's in that Stanford class, he was like, no, here's what I want you all to go do. And here was his homework. And I still have the interviews from this. He said, I want you to go out and interview 3 real people. And he's like, I don't want you just to interview your mom, your grandma, your brother and your sister, your aunt, all the women who are going to poke her up and give you a nice big kiss on the cheek at Christmas. Don't talk to them. He was like, that was always funny. Half the class laughed. He was like, I want you to go and get 3 interviews of paying customers. I was like, and then the assumption element kind of like made sense. He's like, if I'm going to make content, if I'm going to make a product, if I'm going to make anything with a transactional relationship being the goal, why would I go to anyone else that's not going to pay me money to get information from them?
Right.
So then the whole idea is people first. So go interview 3 real people. So back to the whiteboard with Michael and working on bathroom partitions, and I'm pretty sure we were working on bathroom partitions. We were at the whiteboard trying to figure that out, and within that week he got on, and I was listening in on the call on speaker. Like, it was just 2 or 3 different paying customers. Just different people that he knew he could call, and he got him on the phone and we asked him a handful of questions. Not the refined questions we have now or we use now. But we wanted to understand where their mindset was, what perceptions of the problem was in their mind, what perceptions of Michael's solution that he was offering. And that was about it then. The questions, again, are totally different now. But the whole thing is trying to get in their mind. And there's a famous phrase, I can't remember who it's by, but and I'm going to botch it. But in marketing, the best copywriters or marketers don't interrupt the customers where they're at, or customers' conversations. They meet them where they join the conversation they're already having in their head. And that's what the interview element, where that comes into play. So you go out, you interview people, and then our whole process is literally, I have hundreds of mind maps from all the different proposals or clients and friends and whatnot we've done. You turn those interviews into a mind map. Okay, if they're having this problem, then they're also going to think this. And if they're going to think this, then they're going to have that problem. And that problem is what's going to lead them to this, et cetera. And then you go down the awareness, the 3 different levels of awareness, problem aware, solution aware, product aware.
Recap that real fast. I think I get it, but touch on it again.
How far do you want me to zoom back?
Just those 3 things, like
so
problem aware.
Yeah. So problem aware is, I know I don't feel good. I'm 300 pounds or more, and I'm not sure why I don't feel good, and all my health is going to shit.
Okay.
Problem aware, I'm morbidly obese, and I need to stop going to McDonald's 3 times a day. Solution aware, I know that I need to change my diet. So maybe a nutritionist sort of thing, or my lifestyle is the solution. I need to change my lifestyle. Eat or as raw as possible, juice, get exercise, something like that, right? Product aware is, Susie at Just Be Fit in White House, she's a exercise person, but she's also a board certified nutritionist who can help me do all this. I need to call her. Right. So then you can take all of the elements of the mind map of all the types of conversation or all the conversational pieces that you would have mapped out from your interviews, put them into those different awareness buckets, and now you have a plethora of content. Before AI, before Jarvis, I think Jarvis was the real first big one.
Yeah.
Or Jasper. I still call it Jarvis, obviously.
No, it's Jarvis. It'll always be Jarvis.
Right?
Quiet, you want to get sued.
Right. I don't use it as much, but I still pay for it because I'm grandfathered in at I'm in the first price bucket. I was in the first 200 customers. Anyway, so before all that, before AI, we were regularly using this process to come up with, I'm not exaggerating, a year's worth of daily content for SEO. Like in a matter of a couple days once the interviews are done. Because when you talk, for example, one of our questions on our current interview process, or one of the questions, there's 12. The first question is, what is your main goal in going after X? So if, oh my God, so many conversations are coming to mind. I've done men's for Manscaped, men's grooming products for down south. For another product, it was women's period products. So you can only imagine the conversations I've had there. But the first question is, what is your main goal in being interested, or in most cases, purchasing said product? So if it's collagen, what's your main purpose in buying collagen? Because collagen helps with many things. I want to know what the majority of my buyers are. A lot of them might say gut health. Sure, we'll go with that for this example. I buy collagen for gut health purposes. Darn it. I am blonde and totally got sidetracked.
Gut health purposes?
Before that, where was I going? I'm so blonde.
Oh no. We lost the thread. You were talking about mind mapping. It was an example. You were following the thread of...
Yes, thank you. Okay, so they might say gut health for the first question. Well, one of our later questions is how do what is it exactly? It is, what would it mean to you to have said problem solved? And then another one is, what emotions are driven behind the product, behind the purchase of our collagen product? Very similar. What are the emotions driving the product? Why did you buy it? 2 different questions, but we asked similar questions because 90% of the time we will get different answers, and we'll get even more in-depth insight into why they made the transaction, into the intent of the purchase. And when you're able to do that over and over, and then you put this into a mind map, and not just in the mind map, in the copy itself, especially the headline and especially the intro, speaking, literally using that information to speak to the customers. Like we have one client right now from Google. I don't know what other people's average. I should probably look this up because this might be really low, and I might be just shooting myself in the foot right now. But our average click-through rate from Google for the last 6 months is 12%. Like across all keywords
in Google
Search
Search
Console.
Yeah.
So I think that's definitely on the higher end, but all of our content, like we have, I think it's like 3-something minutes on average within like 28,000 visitors a month from this one client, an average of 3 minutes on site.
Yeah.
And most of it, like 80% of it is blog related.
Right.
And it's all because we're speaking to, like, I know this woman's customer set like gangbusters, and she has like 100,000 monthly visitors, give or take, from all social, emails, etc. And like,
so it's as much about like informing copywriting and not leaving off that piece of like, oh, I need to create content that ranks well. Instead, it's creating content that is working well to communicate as well as possible to communicate the product, which is going to make even more sense, even if that gets gobbled up by AI, in that AI snippet actually, has its first go at surfacing your speak about it. That's still going to come through, and your copy is going to reflect in that. You're going to be cited as a source. People are still using, diving in deeper because, even now AI blurbs are they're kind of useful, but they're not like people are using AI tools not as just raw, not like Google search. They're using it to support and supplement Google search.
Yes. I agree. Anyway, so starting with the people first, like you said, you're literally just able to speak to the customer. And then of course, if the time on site is great, if they're not hitting back, they're more than going, they're clicking through to a second and ideally third page. They're hitting their goals in Google Analytics, whether it's a target page or an opt-in or a purchase. All of that supports, especially with the leak. What was it, in May? All the click data, all of that supports what am I trying to say? The leak supports the fact that Google likes seeing those clicks. And when we can keep them clicking, keep them clicking, keep them longer, get them buying our stuff on the first interaction, especially, like with, I don't know if I can say this, with a men's health and wellness brand that I've worked with in the past.
Sure.
We had 6% buy on the first interaction. Granted, that's the peak, but it was averaging like 4.5% to 5%, pretty average. First interaction from Google, 6% at the peaks, 5% on average would buy from like cold traffic.
That's good. Yeah.
That's really high. And like I don't know, it was 50, 60 interviews for that brand though. So like we knew, and I can speak to that customer really, 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 really well. So just the more you're able to speak to them, the more that's going to come across in all the stuff that you do. And this works. We numerous times we'll even have clients that will be like, hey, can our media buying team, can they have access to all this, the interviews and all this stuff? And they'll turn around. I see ads from one of our clients right now daily almost on Facebook using the copy that we came up with because we interviewed, I think we're up to like 20, 25 people so far for this one client.
Yeah. So it's a little more difficult than just like oh, I need a keyword research tool. I'm going to plug in a keyword and it's going to tell me stuff. But the results of having something like a product for or people first framework seems to like have a better long time value in return on that, strategy strategy spend.
Every year for one of our clients, just speaking to that, our health and wellness client that I've brought you in on numerous times, the one, and every for the last 3 years, I didn't look at the exact numbers for this year in about a month, but we're right about this number. Every year, we've over doubled revenue from SEO, and this is all we do. And last year, this year, they were in early December, they were already, I want to say it was like 2.9 million in revenue from SEO. Like,
Nice.
yeah, like they're crushing it. Like,
Yeah.
they're doing well. And when I started, for context, 4 years ago, I want to say it was around, I don't even know if it was 100,000. I think it was like 60,000 in revenue. So that's more than doubled. But you get the point.
Yeah. For sure.
And that's just speaking to your longevity statement.
Yeah. So what's the last pieces of the people first framework?
So literally in our SOPs, we have technical, we have audits. Then we have, these are our actual folders or things in Notion. Audits, analog research, which is the interviews, the mind mapping and awareness mapping. Digital research, which is we take all of that, we take the mind maps, we take everything we have in a spreadsheet that we manually put there, and we didn't export from anywhere. We go and back that up with keyword data and any other sort of like we use. I have a love-hate relationship with BuzzSumo. So social shares, social engagement, backlinks, actual stuff ranking, or with a similar intent from what we can tell on the surface side. We take all of that and we try to find as many data points that line up with our from the horse's mouth interviews. Yeah. And then we translate that into an actual content strategy. And that's where you can literally, once you do that, like this whole process once the interviews are done, you can have this, I'm not exaggerating, a year's worth of daily content, data driven from your customers in like a week's time. It's nuts. So once you have that digital research lining up, then it's just a matter of execution. And so now what's hilarious is I don't really have to worry about where I'm going to go get backlinks for doors or bathroom partitions anymore when I have this conversation still. Love you, Michael. Because like I know that if here's I'm going to segment into backlinks really quick, and then I'll come back to execution.
Yeah.
If, let's say I have all my assets for ranking already built and they're all done.
Yeah.
And because there's SEOs, amazing SEOs out there that don't believe in backlinking or do it very minimally.
Yeah.
And while that works, I've never gotten big results for any of our clients without doing substantial backlinking.
Yeah.
And for context, when I say big results, I mean like Dave Ramsey. We started at like 270, 280,000 monthly visitors, somewhere around that range. And then by the time we were done, I know we were in the almost 2 million range, give or take. I don't remember the exact numbers, but anyway. So like that kind of growth or Wellness Mama, you have to have backlinks. Like, it has to be part of your acquisition strategy, period. But so for getting backlinks, because I know all these topics, whether it's BuzzSumo or any of these other tools, I have in a plethora of keywords at minimum. This is just one of the many ways you can go after backlinks. Keywords at minimum for going after, keywords to use in all these tools to go find all these people. Like, I can't tell you how many times we would take a keyword, put into SEMrush, Ahrefs, your drug of choice that is way overpriced. Part of the reason I have been really liking Search Atlas. Still pricey, but not their pricey, and you get a lot more for the bang for the buck. I'm not an affiliate, by the way. I should be. Punch in a keyword, and you can look up. Granted, there's more advanced tools now, but we would have to find all the people ranking for these keywords or competitors of sort of things. Or taking Healthline and looking at all of their keywords and all the other people ranking for those, etc., and constantly exporting how many God knows Google Sheets and compiling them. But you're able to do this, and you're able to find these sources because you have the keywords. Anytime my back is up against the wall, so to speak, and I'm like, I have to get backlinks. And like bathroom partitions, no one talking about those. For people that don't know what bathroom partition is, it's the wall inside a public restroom that's separating the toilets. Who wants to talk about that? Or commercial doors? Nobody. Right. So when you have the mind map, and so here's the I can't tell you how many thousands of backlinks we've gotten doing this. When you have the mind map, whether it's in a sheet or a visual, and I'm looking at the topic of, I'm just going to stick with it, bathroom partitions. Who's going to talk about that? Who on the web is talking about bathroom partitions? Next to nobody, right. Even though there's billions of people online. But if I zoom out maybe 2 or 3 steps into the broader topics, bathroom partitions falls under commercial construction. Commercial construction is a shoulder niche or shoulder topic to... Or no, actually, I'll verbalize it like this: zoom out of commercial construction, and now you're at construction. Well, what's another avenue of construction? DIY construction. And you can go down the rabbit hole of DIY construction of those topics. Then, while bathroom partitions might not have anything to do with me remodeling my home bathroom, I can write. This is where you have to get creative, and this is before AI, you had to do this. Get creative and figure out how can I, in my article on my bathroom partitions website, how can I write about whatever other topic, home remodeling, bathroom remodeling, DIY. How can I write about bathroom partitions or a technique for framing or something like that these DIY bathroom dudes would be wanting to read as well. Figure that out, write a little snippet about it in your article, and now, because those two shoulder niches are connected, I can talk to those people in those topics. Even though no one's talking about bathroom partitions, I can talk to the people talking about DIY bathroom remodeling and try to get a backlink from them.
What does that pitch usually look like? Is that an email? Is that connecting through a DM? How do you get that, bridge that, and get that backlink?
In the last 6 months, we've actually had a decent amount of success, minimal compared to others, but decent amount of success with X or Twitter, just because more people with the hype of Elon buying it and whatnot, the engagement has gone up through the roof there. But LinkedIn or email usually is the avenue. It's almost probably 70% email, I would say. And then the pitch is something along the line of, have I done something recently? Trying to think of a real example for... Okay. So there is this woman who had I think it was a psychology blog on I can't remember, some mental framework or something, I can't remember. And she liked skiing in I want to say it was Aspen or some Colorado resort. She posted that online. I commented on there. I was one of the first commenters on her. It was a blog post, and this was just me, just happening to do it. Commented, and then literally that night, after looking at her site, it was like, oh, she's a relevant person. That night, we had one of our writers rework one of our collagen. No, it was magnesium article, and granted, magnesium and mental health, there's a much closer relation, so that was a little bit easier. Yeah. But we reworked our article to fit something that she had said. Yeah. So this isn't the exact strategy, but it's the same execution play. Reworked the article to include some of the things that she was talking about, but with our own take and our own spin, with our own data for the health and wellness client we've been talking about. And within like 3 days, we had a domain rank from a personal blog, 72. So I was happy with that. But the pitch was basically, hey, the pitch is always something to the effect of, hey, we have something different from a different perspective that you did not mention on your in your said article. So it's skyscraper-esque. Yeah. And one thing that we don't do is, or we've always done, is we don't ask, we ask for permission because, so many, like right before our call, I got a DM and I told you about it, right? It's just comical, the amount of outreach emails for something about SEO or backlinks is just bad. Yeah. So we've always taken the standpoint of, hey, if we're going to reach out to this person, we're going to do it in a creative way, and we're going to be respectful. Yeah. And what that looks like... So kind of like do an outreach and like, hey, is it okay that we mentioned your groundbreaking, brilliant, we have our own pitch, we have our own take on it and took it in this direction. I know you have your article already, but here's an extra data point that you might have missed that you could include in your post. Is that basically? Very close. The one thing to mention that we do in every single email, whether it's for a JV pitch or a backlink, podcast, whatever, is we include anchors. So I mentioned her skiing resort comment because, and that was not on her, may have been on her website, may not have been, I can't remember. It was hot and I was in Texas, so I just know it was in the summer this year. Right. We used anchors. So it wasn't, hey, the skyscraper email has an anchor. Hey, I saw you wrote this article here, link. I actually wrote this article that is better, or because you are, something like that. And then, yeah, traditional skyscraper. So ours is, her name was Mary, I believe. Hey, Mary, I really resonated, and granted, this is already after I commented, and I know she saw that because she had liked it. Right. Hey, Mary, I really resonated with your article on X, Y, and Z topic. And now I'm going to go into why I resonated with it, a sentence or two, not long. Mm-hmm. And then I'm going to we always try to include 2 anchors because, hey, I saw your article linked over here or mentioned, or I saw you shared. While that is an anchor, that's I can automate that process entirely. But if I say, hey, I was actually at that same ski resort last summer and really loved it, that's an anchor that I can't automate. And that's a real input. And then I say something very similar to what you just mentioned, which was I have something different, a little bit different data or something, different perspective, whatever it might be. And then we ask, mind if I show it to you? Or mind if we share it? And 50% of the time, they will email us back, hey, I mentioned it. And I don't even have to ask for the link. And then, I'm going to go out of reciprocity, share their stuff on whatever, or wherever I can. Yeah. But and I learned this funny enough, that they are just I'm sure you saw that Gail Brinton and Authority Hacker Pro, they just closed down. Do you see all that?
No, I didn't.
Do you know who Gail Brinton is?
No.
He's big in the SEO affiliate space.
Okay.
And their whole thing was SEO and make money with it via affiliates. Great dude, great program. And I wish they wouldn't have shut it down because, like, anyway, I don't want to verbalize on that too much. I thought it could have been shifted and then changed and continued adding value, but for whatever reason, they closed down. Anyway, in his thing years ago, and I've loved this, and I still use it literally maybe not this week. No, not this week. In December we have for outreach. When asking for the backlink, he did this on I think if you type in SEMrush Ultimate Skyscraper Technique, or something like that, there was a webinar, and his pitch in the email was, once they say yes, here, send it, and then once they give you some amount of feedback or something, you say, I would love to. I think it'd be a great way. There's always tons of ways to say it. This is not how we verbalize it. This is why I have other people doing this. But it's something to the effect of, hey, I think it would make a great fit here. I'd be happy to write a short custom paragraph for your article if you wanted to add it to your site. So now I tell them, I take out all the annoying elements of adding the backlink. Where do I add the backlink? What do I say? Where does it make sense? What's the anchor, etc. And I give them updated content that they can add to their site so they can get the new timestamp on the update. And I take out the harder, it's not hard, just annoying, of where do I place the link and what do I say? I just tell them, hey, go put this link here with this paragraph. And like 30% of the time that will fly. 20 to 30% of the time. It's definitely gone down in effectiveness over the years. But when it works, we get to control the anchor for the backlink. So that's always fun.
So 30% of the time, it works every time.
30% of the time, they let me put it in that way. I'll say it like that. That's more accurate. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no.
So when the backlink is a yes, 30-ish% of the time, I'm able to control the anchor.
Legit. Wow. That makes sense. I mean, the approach, making it personalized, having two different touch points, because I get cold outreach for links all the time because I have multiple different sites where I'm publishing. I'm like, you're calling me an agency? Do you not know that this is literally a SaaS tool? Like, you didn't even take the time to like figure out the category of site that you are that I am before you tried to pitch me. Like, and if I was an agency, then you knew that I knew how to do link building, and this is not how you do outreach to build a link. Like, give me the respect of taking me out to dinner if you're going to get something out of it.
Which, funny enough, I have done to get a backlink.
Taking somebody out to dinner?
In Nashville. It was, well, I don't know.
I mean, I do have to say I have gotten a large number of links because I've gone to like webmaster meetups and like connected with other SEOs, because it's way easier to get a link from an SEO who's working with 6 different sites versus like one, small business owner who like barely knows how to manage or edit their own site. So I think there's definitely, if you are doing the outreach approach, having a level of awareness of who you're most likely to be interacting with, which might be why, hey, if they're constantly posting on Twitter or X, somebody's posting that and they're taking their time to be on that channel. So if you can find a way to engage them and show them that you're real, then that's a way to warm up a conversation, so you're not some rando just sending them an email. Like spend a week of like something Monday, like and retweet something Tuesday, at message them on Wednesday, at message like retweet on Thursday, Friday slide into their DMs.
We have a whole training and series of SOPs we call the Bishop's Framework, Bishop's Court Technique. Have I told you this?
No.
So the whole idea is, if I'm wanting to talk to the Pope, and this comes from a 48 Laws of Power rule. I don't remember which law it was. Have you know the book?
No, not a fan.
Robert Greene.
Do I have reading? Okay, I got to do.
Oh my God, go read everything by Robert Greene. Greene.
Okay.
48 Laws of Power, Mastery, Seduction. Dude, you read one of them, you'll be hooked.
Okay.
Favorite modern living author. Anyway, from 48 Laws of Power, the person's intent was to kill the Pope, which I don't have that intent. So I wanted to talk to the Pope in my analogy.
Right.
But if I try to walk into the Vatican or wherever he's at, I'm not getting an audience with him. But if I court or date or, build a relationship with his bishops, and then those bishops, I start rubbing shoulders with the other bishops, and now my access to the Pope is 1 degree less, and I can either get an interview or, by sheer luck, possibly say, "Hey, I've been talking to these bishops over here. Do you have a minute to speak with me? Your Majesty," I don't know what they call the Pope.
your pontiffin.
Right. So
your
the whole
grace. I think it's your grace.
That would make more sense. Definitely not your Majesty. But so the whole tactical aspect to this is, and I literally, since we've been on this phone, got an email, and I have a call to go over a proposal with a verbal yes to getting a new client. Because of this, funny enough, the Bishop's Court Technique, but it's literally similar to what you just said. Every day for a week, you engage with them on social, like you're number one. You're a reply guy. That's the strategy. You're a reply guy. Then you ask, and you're just replying, getting comments. That your whole thing is to get a comment or like from the person.
Yeah.
Then your goal is to ask a question and get them to respond to the question. Then you email them a more thoughtful question, something that is just going to take more time to answer than a tweet or LinkedIn something.
Yeah.
And you get them to answer that. Then that's where and this is over like a 2-week period. And once you're at that, once you've gotten them to respond to an email, then you're able to tee up whatever pitch you want. Hey, podcast, joint venture, backlink. Oftentimes, I will even do I've gotten Guy Kawasaki, the former chief evangelist officer of Apple, to share my stuff and link to me from numerous sites because of this. Mm-hmm. I did exactly what I just said. And then I said, hey, I'm writing this article. It's not published yet. Can I get your thoughts? Mm-hmm. He says yes. He says, I like the stuff, gave whatever input, very minimal. I took that input where applicable, edited my article, published it, and I said, hey, Guy, I published what you participated in helping me create. So now he's invested. I have this long 2-3 week relationship with him. He shares it, and boom, off to the races. And I got like 7 or 8 backlinks from that. Like, he was the only person who shared it in the beginning, other than myself. And, myself with no following compared to Guy Kawasaki, all the traffic clearly came from him. Anyway, so you can leverage that sort of approach for, I use the Bishop's Court for, our specific framework and approach for everything. And, I got to interview this client that I have this call with next week, or soon-to-be client, was a referral because of the Bishop's Court.
Sweet. So as I kind of wrap up here, what's the thing the most actionable thing from your framework approach that after somebody listens to this, they should immediately go and do?
Interview 3 paying customers. Not talked, like, I can't tell you how many times I've had people, whether it's SEOs or other entrepreneurs or business people or whatever, come back and tell me, oh my God, we can see why we've missed the mark, or we can see why things haven't worked, etc. Like, interview 3 paying customers, ideally newer ones, and if you can, happy customers and angry customers. Do 3 minimum. 10 is the ideal minimum, but like, if you have the time, like, keep going. Like the one health and wellness client I told you about, like, yeah. I still do 1 to 3 customer interviews calls a month. Like, and I'm doing this. I'm not outsourcing this. And the questions you ask, here's the first. I have 12 questions, and I'll tell you some of them, just because I can't remember all of them off the top of my head. First question: go. What's your goal? What was your goal in buying the product that you bought? Mm-hmm. So in going after this goal, what obstacles have you hit? In going after this goal, what fears do you have? Mm-hmm. In going after this goal, what 2 or 3 burning questions do you have? Those are the most important ones that if I only have 5 minutes, yeah, that's what I'm asking. Okay. If you have a little bit more time, yeah. Would you buy this again? Is a very great one. Especially if it's in the health and wellness niche, or any niche really, if it can change someone's life, so your life, your money categories, mm-hmm. The very last thing I'll ask them is, and this is, I'm always entertained by this one, is try to sell me the product. Talk to me for 5 to 10, 20 seconds and try to sell me the product. So I'm getting from the horse's mouth the sales pitch. And then this is the better part, and this is where it always changes, especially in the your life, your money category. I'll say, now try to sell it to me as if I was a loved one. Mm. And it gets more endearing, it gets more affectionate, it gets more, so the tone changes, but the words and the way they communicate changes too.
Interesting.
It's super interesting. And so you take all of that, interview, just don't stop interviewing, period. And let that translate into every piece of SEO that you're doing. And that's customer facing.
Right. So I know I've given you a couple of pieces to work on some of your clients' projects and some of your SOPs, but I know you've been working on putting this framework in a place where it's available. Is that something where people can go somewhere and learn more about it, or is it like a client relationship thing? What's the status on that right now?
Yeah, so you can literally just go to SEO Mastery /framework, and it'll redirect you to the right link. And I have it's $27, and it's a framework with a bunch of bonuses and super dope stuff that'll, including all the questions, the awareness map, all that sort of analog research, everything that you need for $27, the full training on the people first framework. So that way you can start executing this on your own campaigns or your client campaigns or your grandma's campaigns or whoever.
Awesome. If people want to have a conversation with you, are you on X, or are you on Twitter, on LinkedIn? If people want to engage and see what you're up to. Yeah, so because I kind of abandoned my personal account in the crypto phase and that got shut down mistakenly, my Twitter account is /the major _ETH. Oh, that's easy.
I know, right? Well,
I'll link it in the show notes.
Think of the major from Ghost in the Shell.
Okay, the major, yep. But it's like Keith Breseé. You're on Twitter then.
Yeah, if they search my name, they'll find me.
Okay, yeah. Thanks so much. Always fun to talk to you. I'll make sure to add a bunch of links to everything you mentioned on the show notes. I'll see you around.
Sounds good. Appreciate you, bro.